Welcome, this is Mrs. McNulty, and I'm going to step you through how to create a self-portrait collage project using Photoshop. So by now you have collected some images that you're going to use to create your collage. One image is a background sort of texture image. One is a self-portrait, either that you had or that you had someone help you take of yourself. And the other photos, maybe photos of your family, vacation spots, hobbies, friends, different places that mean something to you. So those should all be in one folder in your project folder for this project. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is open the background texture photo. In my case, I'm going to use this picture of the sky with some clouds. Okay. I'm going to open that, and then right away do a File, Save As. And I'm going to name it with our project number, which in this case is 16, but it could be different if it's a different semester. Okay. I'm going to call it the Self Portrait Collage, and last name, first name. And this is my third one I'm trying, so I'm going to say it's the V3, so I distinguish it from my other collages. All right, I'm going to save it in the Photoshop format so I can use the layers, and I'm going to put it in the working folder for this project. Okay, so with all that done, I'm just going to save it. All right, now to make sure that the image is the right size and all, I'm going to come up to the top and say image size. And I want you to, for now, click on the chain link here that is the constrained proportions link. Okay, and the resample box should be unchecked for right now. Now our width is in inches. We don't want it to be quite that big. I'm going to say let's make it 11. When you do that, if your resolution is over 300, you're in good shape. If you are not at 300 or above, I'd like you to click on the resample box, choose bicubic smoother, and then type in 300. When you click this, you get some choices. So pick the bicubic smoother and then type 300 in the resolution box. That will make it a higher quality photo. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to say OK. The first thing I want you to do after that is go up to the top and say Layer, New Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and pick Hue and Saturation. So your Layers panel should be open over here so you can see what's going on. If you don't see it, remember you go up to Window and pick Layers, and then it will be showing. So right now we have our background cloud image. We're going to start a new layer, a new hue and saturation layer. Okay, so click on OK, and that shows up in our layers panel. What I'd like you to do with that is in the properties panel, select or check the colorize button. All right, and it's going to let us choose a color for the background. You can play around with, what color you'd like it to be. Okay, play around with how saturated it is. Okay, I think I kind of like the blues and the greens. Maybe I'll do that one. That's all up to you. Okay, When you're finished with that, I want to do a second layer. So go up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, pick Hue and Saturation again. Okay, create that layer. Okay, see that second layer shows up. And we'll do the same thing. This time maybe pick a different color. All right, could be your favorite colors, could just be random colors. Yeah, but you part of personalizing it. Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do is select the eraser tool, which is about halfway down. Remember, if you hover over it, it will give you a title of what it is. So you make sure you're on that, where the keyboard shortcut is E for the eraser tool. So click on the eraser tool. Make sure that you have it set to a soft brush. So up here in the options bar, we're going to say, okay, soft, round. You can scroll through all these choices. Soft round might be at the top for you too. And set the brush size to at least 900 pixels. So it's right there, already set to 900. Set the opacity around 50. And that's up in the option bar up here. Okay, since I've already done this before, it's defaults to those, but you may have to change them. With the top layer selected, use the eraser tool to remove some of the top layer so that the layer underneath shows through in some areas. You can paint it any way you want, any kind of interesting background. So I'm on the second layer. Okay, got the eraser tool. I'm holding down on the trackpad and just, with one finger moving the brush around with the other. All right. So you can see that that first hue and saturation layer is showing through a little bit. Okay, as much as you want. When you're done with that, you are now ready to add your subject photos. So with the Move tool selected, remember that's the top tool there, I want you to make sure that the Auto Select layer is unchecked up in the options bar, and the Show Transform Controls is checked. Now, let's do File, Open. Okay, we'll go back to our originals that has all of our images. The first image I want to add is the portrait image. That's our most important one. Okay, so we open it up by itself. You can then either do edit, a couple different ways you could add it to your collage. You could do, drag it, like kind of undock it, and then with the Move tool, click and drag, and we'll go over to your collage image. Then it will have that bounding box because we should show transform controls. Another way you could do it would be to choose it and say edit, copy, edit, paste. All right. Either way, it's going to show up as a new layer in your layers panel. Okay. It's a little bit large right now, so I'm going to reduce it. So I'm going to go to one of the corners of the bounding box, hold down on the trackpad, and reduce it so that I can see the whole image. You can always change the size, but I just want to get it so we can see the whole thing on the screen here. Okay, I might want to use the actual image a little larger, but for right now I want to see it like that. Now we are going to, in the Layers panel, set the blending mode of the layer to hard light. Okay, so over here in the Layers panel, I'm going to go to hard light. Okay, it gives us that, starts to look give it that dreamy sort of effect that we want with this collage. All right. Now we want to remove the background around the portrait. So there's a couple different ways we can do it. This way I want to show you is with using the polygonal lasso tool. And it's under, a lot of times you might, it's the third tool down, you might see the lasso tool as the top tool, and then you have to kind of click and drag out to see the flyout menu. It's the second one listed there. Okay, polygonal lasso tool. In the options bar, set the feather to 5 pixels, which mine's already set to that. You can change it to 5. Just type in there and change it to 5. And the way that we use this tool is to click around a certain area. So what I'm going to do is click around the background, around the head, to create sort of an outline to kind of complete the selection of the background that I want to delete. I'll show you what you have to do. So let's say we're going to start down here. I'm just clicking on the trackpad, drags a portion. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just generally choosing around the portrait, clicking each time. So what I'm going to do is get the portrait outlined and then delete the background pixels. Okay, so again, it doesn't have to be exactly matched up, but you know, as close as possible. I'm just going to do that part for now. I'm going to come up, err on the side of being, you know, on the outside of that area so that we get it all down. And the way that you are sure that you are like completing the shape or making it a closed shape is that when you get back to the beginning, you see the little circle to the lower right hand side of the tool icon. Okay, so we know that we're closing that shape. We also know because now we see the what they call like the marching ants or the shimmering line. This is the area that's selected, and I want to delete that area. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the delete key. It's, you know, encircling the background, delete it. Okay, to get out of the sort of that selection, you come up to the top, select, deselect. Okay, and I think I still want to, just in case I want to use, you know, the bottom part, I'm going to just get rid of this little part down here too, this little piece of background. Same thing, I have the circle saying I'm completing the shape, and just delete. Okay, select, deselect. Now if I go back to the move tool, you know, I can move the image. I can make it a little larger if I'd like to. Okay, so maybe we'll do that for now. You want the portrait to be the sort of the focal point, so we'll keep that nice and large. Okay. Really, that is how you do it. Now you would just go back in and select your other images and do the same thing. Add them to your either edit copy, edit paste them to your file, or you know, undock them and drag it in like we did with the portrait. You can change some of the images to black and white if you want to have your portrait in color and all the other images in black and white, or maybe the opposite, or some other, you know, different coloring scheme. You can try that. But again, the focal point should be, you know, the portrait with the other images, sort of the secondary or the background or the, you know, things that are representing you, telling a little bit of your story. So the portrait should be the main thing. All right, I hope this helps. And you could also use the eraser tool to erase background. We didn't go over that, but kind of the same way we did with the textured, you could use that to also erase the background. So it's another option for getting rid of the parts of the photo that you don't want. Okay. Now again, to save it, you're going to save it as a Photoshop document first, right? So that you can preserve all the layers in case you want to go back in and make any changes, and then you could save it as a JPEG. All right, hope this helps. Bye-bye.